Hello, everybody. Dr. Tom here. Who is ready for the fierce fire experience? So I see we have some people starting to show up now. Let's see here. So I have a bunch of content that we're going to be going over today. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to teaching you guys this for months now. It's been a long process, but it's all come together. This has been a passion of mine. And before we get to starting, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So again, my name is Dr. Tom. I've been doing chiropractic medicine and acupuncture, studying it for the last 5 years and treating patients for the last 2. It's been an amazing experience, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. It's about the martial arts journey that I have been in for the last 13 years of my life now. It has changed everything, and supplementing the martial arts with the medicine has unlocked so many doors, and I am looking forward to telling you guys about that today. So let's go ahead and dive into it. If you guys want to talk to me at any point throughout the class, go ahead and leave a comment and it'll show up live and I can answer your questions as we go through it. So today we are going to be learning about foundational breathing with Tai Chi Chuan. So Tai Chi, a little bit of background, is basically an optimized fighting style. So to give you a little bit of history, back in the day, Tai Chi was not taught to just anybody. You would have to have long training. You'd have to have a lot of background. Think about it as a doctoral program or a PhD program when it comes to school, right? You don't just sign up to get your PhD. You need to have your high school diploma. You need to have your undergraduate. You have to have your master's. You have to have all these skills before you would even be allowed to enter the program. And then if you take the test, pass it, you can apply and then get in there. It was the same thing with Tai Chi. It was very limited to access. People that wanted to learn it would have to have some type of background skill in Tai Chi. So just to get an idea of that, when you're trying to learn from the beginning, it's not exactly going to be very simple. But I've learned how to cut out a lot of the complexities so you can learn it from a more foundational background. It'll give you guys insight to exactly what's going on at a level that you don't need any experience to master it. So I'm looking forward to going through all of that with you today. So, breathwork. That's a hot topic these days. A lot of people are always talking about it. Has anybody in the chat done breathwork before? Any kind of box breathing, fire breathing, Wim Hof. Those are very common. A lot of people know about them. Yoga does a lot of different types of breathworks like Kundalini and whatnot. When it comes to Tai Chi breathwork, though, we are going to be looking at it from a component of the nervous system. So we're going to get into a little bit of science here. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to simplify this down as easily as I can. But when you look at this chart, you have 2 types of states your body can be in. Your parasympathetic nervous system and your sympathetic nervous system. All right? So what does that mean to you? Well, when people are meditating, their goal is to get into the parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest state. This is where your body is able to create more energy. In traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about qi. This is like your life force, basically. It's this energy force that helps your body do the functions that it needs to. For this situation, we're going to be talking about why we want to get to that point. Basically, when you're living day to day, okay, you start feeling stress, overwhelm, anxiety. Those are all emotional states that are caused by being in your sympathetic nervous system too much. So basically, look at it as your body can't figure out the difference between if it needs to pay a bill, accomplish a task, get from point A to point B within a certain time frame, or if it needs to be able to fight off or run from a hungry lion. Your body looks at both of these situations the exact same way. It's a stress response that your body goes into. The problem is, with this fast-paced lifestyle, we are constantly living in this chronic, hyper-stressed life where our body's constantly out of balance. It's constantly feeling like it needs to fight off a tiger or run away from a tiger. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but follow me on this. When your body is stressed, when you have a deadline to meet, your body starts shunting all of its nutrients, all of the important blood and whatnot from the organs, and make sure it's giving all of that to your muscles externally. So this allows your body to be ready to run or ready to fight. But the problem is, if you're there all day long, every day, your muscles are chronically tight, strained. This causes your heart to have to pump harder to get blood out. It creates this level of toxins in your muscles that creates tension, trigger points, knots. It causes your shoulders to raise and roll forwards. It makes it very difficult to have that proper posture that we're all trying to get to, because your body wants to protect itself from the enemy, the lion that's about to attack. Even though it doesn't know that, it doesn't realize that your bills aren't a lion that are going to kill you. Mentally, your body can't differentiate. So this is where Tai Chi comes in. We learn this foundational breath work to bring us from the sympathetic overdrive that we're in all the time into this parasympathetic relaxed state. Now, you do that through breath work because this is called your autonomic nervous system you're looking at. Basically, you don't have any control over it. It's automatically happening because it's a lifestyle response that allows us to survive. All right? So the breath is the only way we have access to this. Basically, when you're taking a deep, relaxed breath in, it brings us from this sympathetic division over to the parasympathetic division. This chart here shows you how the body's reacting. That's irrelevant. I just wanted to show you guys that the difference is present. All right? So, how do we do that with the breath? Have any of you heard about diaphragmatic breathing before? That lower abdomen breathing? This is what they're talking about. So when you're looking at this here, you can see the diaphragm is that lower muscle underneath the lungs. This is one of the strongest muscles we have, and the main muscle we're supposed to be using when we're breathing. The problem is, as life goes on, we start stressing, we start worrying about paying bills and getting jobs done, getting to work and all that stuff. And we start using the upper muscles in the chest to breathe. So you'll see people doing these very short breaths throughout the day. You don't even realize it. But that's these muscles right up in front of the neck, upper shoulders, that are lifting up the rib cage to allow the breath to happen. So you can have quick breaths, so you can easily get away if you had to run from a lion or a tiger. All right? That's not how you want to be living on a daily basis. You want to be using this diaphragm in the lower abdomen to be breathing down into the chest. On the left side, you see how it says inhalation, and the diaphragm is actually moving down. That creates space for the lungs to expand underneath the ribs. So I want you guys to try this with me. Basically, we're going to be doing an exercise. This is foundational Tai Chi breathing. So I want you to just get into this state and see how long you can do it for. It should be natural. This is where we should be at all the time. And that's the breath work we're going to be doing today. So I want you to sit up nice and tall, but relaxed at the same time. So that means the shoulders are relaxed. The top of the head is going to be pulled up like it's being pulled by a string. And the chin is going to be gently tucked underneath. So if you look at it from the side, this is up. You should feel a lengthening in the back of the neck. All right. So now just breathe in through the nose and imagine the lower abdomen moving down. You want to be breathing downwards into the lungs, into that lower abdomen space below the belly button. That's going to be where the diaphragm is actually activated. So So if I come over to so basically what you need to be doing is worrying about the diaphragm, which is the lower dantian, right in area in this region. So if you look at this image, there's 3 dantians they talk about, upper, middle, and lower. We're talking about that lower triangle. So as you breathe in, you want to imagine that breath going to that lower dot, and your stomach, your sides, and your lower back expanding. And then let the breath gently leave. You shouldn't feel any tension in the shoulders. As you breathe in, you don't want to see this. You don't want that. You want nice, relaxed, deep breaths into the lower abdomen space. So I want you to try that with me. Just nice, deep breath in through the nose. Let that stomach and lower back expand. And then breathe out. Don't force anything. Good. So now I want you to try to focus on doing this breathing while we go through the program. Okay? So I'm going to continue talking and whatnot, but the main thing is this is the basic level of breathing that we want to focus on. So now, this image is talking about acupuncture points and different components of that. We don't need to worry about that. The main thing is there's 3 dantians. These actually correlate with the chakras that a lot of people are familiar with yoga. It's the same concept. All this is learning how the breath coordinates with the body. You're trying to get from that stress state to the relaxed, focused state. A lot of people know it as the flow state. Now, the cool thing is, if you're able to master this breathwork subconsciously, then you're always going to be able to get back to that flow state, because you'll notice when you start getting into that stress sympathetic state. It's all about awareness. So this is a little bit more complex. This is talking about breathing patterns. We're not going to get into that today. I'll just touch on it for a brief second here. Basically, what this is talking about is in Chinese medicine, you have these 2 meridians that encircle our body in this pathway, from the bottom of between the legs, all the way up the chest, up the center of the head, and then down the back, and then it connects. This creates a circle. This is the pattern of breathing that you should naturally be doing every day. Basically, as you breathe in, the breath is going to start from that lower dantian and travel up the back and over the head. And then once it gets to the front, you breathe out, and the energy travels down the front. So this circular pattern is how the energy is flowing, as the breath is doing the opposite. The breath is going to be flowing down into the lower dantian as you breathe in and expanding out through the body. And then as you breathe out, the breath is going to leave. So tapping into this is going to be how you get control of your nervous system. This is the only way that we can consciously control our subconscious. So basically what you're doing is you're learning how to turn on and off that stress response that we have, that primal instinct that we have whenever we're stressed out and we have that urge to either fight or flight. You're learning how to counter that, which is what you're going to need in life if you're trying to accomplish anything. Because how many times throughout your life have you tried to do something that you're not good at and not been stressed? It's physically impossible, because when you aren't comfortable in what you're doing, when you don't have the ability to do something to a perfect state that you're confident in, your body's naturally going to get that stress response. Because from a primal instinct, if we're not the best, then we're not safe. There's something else in the food chain that can overcome us. And so we have that desire, that urge to always be better. But to get there, you have to go through that stressful response, which then causes this whole slew of negative components in your body if it's chronic, which means long-term, consistent. Basically, what we're doing here is we're learning how to get that breath work, to control it, to get out of that state. So how many of you are still doing the breathing? Or did we start finding ourselves going into that rounded shoulder posture? We started losing that lower abdomen breathing. Our breath started becoming shorter, not as long and relaxed. It's common. It's because you're doing something difficult. You're trying to learn something new, and your body is going into that stress response. It's okay. The number one rule of Tai Chi is to be kind to yourself. It's not going to be easy. It's a journey. This is an art. And any art is amazing because it's unique in how you are going to progress in it. Everybody's experience is going to be different. Just like if I gave every single one of you an easel and a paintbrush and told you to draw a sun, every sun is going to look different, even if we did the exact same thing. Because the pressure that I'm going to have is different than the pressure somebody else is going to have. The amount of stroke occurring for me is going to be different for somebody else. So basically, this art is all about you learning how your body reacts to stress. I'm really excited to get into some more content, but before we do that, I want you to get back to breathing. So remember, head up like it's being pulled by a string, chin tucked, let those shoulders relax, breathing into that lower abdomen space. Nothing should be forced here. You don't want any tension, but you also don't want emptiness completely. We'll get into more of those little bit of complexities and differences later, but right now, just focus on that. Try to get that nice, deep, relaxed breathing. So AccuPresence here has an amazing image that I use right here just to describe the sea of chi, but this is where we're breathing into. So basically, your life force, your energy, like what they're talking about, all occurs in this lower dantian region, which can be activated by acupuncture's conception vessel 6. That's what they're talking about here. But for you, what we're doing is we're breathing into that space. That's why this is called the breath of fire. It's usually misknown because Wim Hof talks about this hyperventilation state, which creates this heat internally, so he can do ice baths. But the traditional, original breath of fire is actually considered reverse breathing, which is almost what we're doing right now. We'll get into that at the end just to touch on it. But what you're doing is you're breathing into that lower dantian, and it's creating this energy. This is your sea of chi, where it takes the food that we bring in and the molecular components that our body's creating and cultivates chi to be used throughout the day. This is the fuel that drives us. If we don't have this, then this is where we start feeling that burnout, that stress. Think about it as you pour some gas into a car, right? That's what your body's doing. You're creating that gasoline internally, but then all day long, you're trying to accomplish this. You're doing that. You're working out. You're going to make this job. Everything you're doing, go. You're spending that energy that you're making. Well, if you're not constantly remaking that, that's when we start hitting stress. We start hitting anxiety. You're not empty yet, but you're getting close to empty. You ever drive down the road and you're like, man, there's a gas station 30 minutes from me. I don't know if I'm going to make it. That's the stress and anxiety that your body's experiencing because it knows what you're trying to accomplish. It just doesn't know if it has enough energy left to get there. So then what do you think burnout is? It's when you actually hit empty. That's when everything just crashes. Your body's been pushing way past for way too long. You have no more energy in the tank. Boom, done. Your body's like, I'm finished. I'm checking out. I can't do it anymore. So how do we overcome that? Well, if you can create that fuel throughout the day just by breathing, wouldn't you want to? I mean, that's what this is. every time you start feeling that stress and anxiety, that's a warning sign you're pushing too much. That means that you're breathing with the upper chest. You're not giving your body the time to use its energy and resources properly. So what I want you to do is check yourself again. Are you still doing the breath work that I showed you? Or has that fallen away? Now we're at that stressful upper chest breathing, shoulders rolled forward position. That's what we're trying to make subconscious. Right now, it's going to be very conscious. You're going to have to think about it constantly. You're going to be like, oh man, I'm slunched over again. I must be stressing out. Okay. Head up, shoulders relaxed, chin tucked slightly. Breathing nice and relaxed through the nose into that lower abdomen space. Nice deep breaths, filling the lungs from the bottom up. I don't want to see the chest rising at all. I don't want to see the shoulders rising at all. Everything should be calm, relaxed, and unforced. Nice, deep, relaxed breathing in. Good. This is why I'm saying be kind to yourself. Don't let yourself get upset that you're not able to continue doing it. That's totally normal. Just know that every single time you realize you're not, just remind yourself, okay, it's time to go back to doing it. Then just sit up, relax, and breathe nice and deep. You're going to start feeling this warmth in your lower abdomen area. And eventually that fire will get larger and larger until it's encompassing your whole abdomen, with a goal of eventually, as you breathe in, your whole body, all the way to your fingertips, is going to be expanding with the breath and then relaxing with the breath. So as you breathe in, everything expands and warms and heats up at a more advanced level. And then when you breathe out, everything leaves. All that tension leaves. All that stress leaves. All the toxins leave with the breath. All right. All of this comes from this concept. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with yin and yang. Basically, everything that they talk about with this is duality. That's the main concept here. You need to understand that things that seem opposite are actually similar. This breath work is going to be that. So as you stress out, everything comes up and rises. You need to have it all sink and relax. The complete opposite of that, to find that balance. When you're at that balance, basically what they talk about in the philosophy is the energy from the universe is able to travel through us, through the crown point on top of our head, into our human point in the chest area, down into the sea of chi, circulate, expand, and relax through our body, and then leave out the bottom of our feet to the earth point, the grounding point on the kidney channel, and then translate, and then come back through. This energy should be constantly flowing between us. The second we're stressed out, it causes blockages, it prevents that flow, and it prevents us from having the energy to accomplish what we need to, which, again, is where we get into stress, overwhelm, and burnout. So this is a nice photo of when I used to teach on the beach. This just gives you an example of what Tai Chi looks like in action, because we're doing the movement slow, but it's actually for fighting, which is, a lot of people never understand that when I say it. But if you look at the similarity here between this movement and then this movement, you can see how it actually translates to a punch and a block with the hand motions there. Now, why would Tai Chi, something so slow and peaceful, help with fighting? It's because it's the opposite. It goes back to yin and yang. You have all these warrior monks that created Tai Chi from their philosophies, from their religion. It's the opposites that come together to find balance. So if you want to get closer to a higher power, to the universe, if you want to find that peace, that tranquility, that serenity, how do you find that? Well, if you just keep chasing peace and serenity and calmness, you're never going to get better at that. You can't get more light by adding more light. You have to understand the shadow side of things to get the light. You have to understand pain to understand pleasure. You have to be very happy. Like, you can't be very happy if you've never experienced sadness. This is yin and yang. This is the core concepts of all that. So these warrior monks understood that to find peace and harmony and balance, they had to do the opposite. And what's the opposite of tranquility, serenity, calmness, softness? It's hard physical training. It's brute strength. It's overcoming that mental struggle. And what better way to challenge your mind and your body and your breath to be able to have that calm breathing than to put your body in these extreme postures that are difficult to hold and maintain, than to challenge your body through physical contact with others. Because then you master that, you can master that relaxation, because you're going to the opposite extremes. That's what all of this is about. So to understand softness, you need to have hardness. That's not to say you have to fight full contact to be a peacemaker. You just need to understand those foundational components. So while you're training and practicing and applying these philosophies to what you're doing, you're actually benefiting from them at a deeper level. So again, I want to test you guys. Who is still with me? Put in a comment if you're still with me and you're still doing the breath work. And if you're not, put a comment in that you fell out of it, that you're not, that you lost your posture, that you started slouching back down, that you started doing that upper chest breathing instead of that nice, relaxed, slow diaphragmatic breathing. What was rule number 1? Be kind to yourself. This process is not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. So when we're looking at some components, oh, we got Susan here. Yep. Still doing it and standing. I love that. Good job, Susan. She's killing it out there. She is amazing. She's got some experience. So if you're not doing it, it's okay. She's definitely way further along than most of my students. So don't let that deter you. Okay. See, even she's falling out here and there. That's fine. This is where you be kind to yourself, because this is where you start learning your limitations. As we go through this, that's what's beautiful about an art. You have to, there's this old saying. It's called invest in loss. The more you're able to accept your failures, the further you're going to go in life. So as you go through this, every time you notice that your body's falling out, that's success. Because now you have awareness of your body. That's what we're trying to get here. Who cares if you can do this for 5 seconds or 5 days? None of that matters. All that matters is that you're aware of your body. This is where the power comes from. So now that you're aware that you're falling out here and there, you're learning when your body is going into that stress state versus that relaxed, parasympathetic, flow state where your mind can function properly and accomplish things at the higher levels that we're trying to do here. This is where the power is. So just be kind to yourself, accept yourself, and keep moving forward with it. You're doing awesome, Susan. I'm proud of you. Everybody else, I'm sure you're doing great. So those of you that are just joining us, we're going over the Fierce Fire experience right now, which is totally different what everybody expects it, because it's just foundational breathing. The important part about this is we're going in to understand now what the golden mean is. This is what all of Tai Chi is based on. So as you can see here, it's a state of existence where human desire and frustrations are effectively harnessed for the ultimate benefit of the individual. It's a state of harmony that can't be undone by good or bad external influences. Now, what does that mean? It's one of those things that's like, wow, okay, that makes sense. That seems simple. Why can't I do that? What this is not being pulled too far in one direction or the other. Because the second you go too far into your sympathetic or your parasympathetic, your stress or relaxed states, that's where weakness occurs. You're unbalanced. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, oh, my retirement plan is I'm going to move to Mexico and live on the beach. As great as that sounds, that's because you are literally living in this hyper-stressed environment right now where you are go, 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 trying to accomplish everything all day long, every day, and you are lacking the balance to take care of yourself. So now you desire the complete opposite. The problem is when you go to that complete opposite, this is where wasting occurs. This is where your body starts becoming dysfunctional because you're not using anything. The whole saying of if you don't use it, you lose it is because that's how your body functions too. It wants to function at this state of harmony, the state of homeostasis. It wants to save as much energy as it can to function at its most optimal form. All right? So when we get into this relaxed state, if you did, say, retire and live on a beach all the time, now your muscles are going to slowly start wasting away. Your mind is going to slowly start wasting away. And you become into this same exact state that you're trying to get out of. This stress, rolled forwards, unable to have posture, where your organs are starting to have all kinds of dysfunctions, where your muscles are sore and tense. Things just aren't working, where you turn and sneeze and all of a sudden you have back pain. This weird state of, I'm getting old. It's not that you're getting old, it's that your body is becoming out of balance. So this is where you're trying to get to. And guess what? The only way that you can do that is through your breath. It's crazy. I know it sounds insane, but this is the only way that you have control over the subconscious automatic systems in your body, your autonomic nervous system. You have no control over it any other way outside of your breath. That's why it's so powerful. So this breath work, this relaxed breathing that you should be doing subconsciously all day long, keeps you in that balanced state. Basically, when you're going, every time you feel that anxiety, that stress, that overwhelm, take a moment, stand up, and breathe into it. You're going to feel your body relax, calm down, and you're going to get a little bit of extra burst of energy. That's just a quick little cheat to use this stuff to get through your day. Now, obviously, we have to go into more advanced components of depending on how hard you're pushing your body, how much recovery you need. But we'll get into that into the course that I have coming up. Basically here, this PDF that I can send everybody if they're interested afterwards is going to go over the core components of Tai Chi and how you do this in a more advanced state. So we talk about mindful movement, stepping, rooting, the breathing from a beginning and an advanced level, and then the basic movement flows. We get into advanced duality components of coiling, uncoiling, emptiness, strength, this complex interchange that's occurring when you're doing the form, how to conceal hardness and softness. So many people have this mistake that Tai Chi is for old people. It's slow, easy, but when you get into the fighting components of it, you start learning this advanced coiling state where you're able to relax your muscles and still generate power. Now, I'm not trying to make everybody a warrior, although that is a great side effect of this. But the main thing is you learn these foundational principles, and then you're able to apply them to your everyday life. I go over important common mistakes that occur and important principles as well in this slide. They're going to be able to help you avoid the errors that cause pain or the errors that lead you off to this mindset that prevents you from actually obtaining the benefits we're trying to achieve. I want to give you guys an example now here. Pull it up. So, when you're looking at the form, maybe it won't come up. We pull up this one instead. So when you're looking at the Tai Chi form, you see these slow, relaxed movements. All of these are fighting applications. Blocks and strikes, punches and kicks. You see how we rock back and forth from one leg to another. All of this has different components for the body that provide health, relaxation, and most importantly, basically a detox for your internal body. So you noticed how we were rocking our legs back and forth there. Let's go back to this so you can see it again. So all our weight's on one leg, right here. We sink forward, sink back, turn, sink onto the other one. Tai Chi is known as one-legged boxing. When you incorporate the breathing patterns with this movement, what's happening is you're detoxifying your lymphatic system. It's basically an internal massage occurring that's pushing those toxins out of your body. So you have two types of tissues in your body. You have soft tissues that actually are attached to nerves and ones that aren't. Basically, your arteries versus your veins. So these highways, the arteries are actually constricting and relaxing. That's helping the heart pump the blood out to your extremities. Once they stop and get to the end and get to where they need to, they release the oxygen, take the CO2, and then go back into the veins and get pushed up to the heart. Well, the veins don't work through contraction. It just works through gravity and the blood being pumped through the arteries, pushing it along. Your lymphatic system is very similar in that component, as it doesn't have nerves attached to it, so it's not going to contract and relax on its own. The only way that you can drain the toxins from your body is through movement. So this slow, rhythmic relaxation, shifting your weight from one side to the other, is going to cause your muscles to contract and relax in this very rhythmic motion that is going to push and pump all of that all of those toxins and waste material that your body has created out of your body. It's going to detoxify. It's going to push it through the system and then get it out. This is what we're trying to accomplish through this. This is where all the health benefits come through. The only way this works, though, is if you're able to use the breath and the mind to move the body. And what that means is you're not using the muscle hard, like you're trying to push something. You're using the breath to move it. Basically, as you do this breath work that we're talking about, nice, deep, relaxed breaths into the lower abdomen, the lower dantian, your muscles are able to relax. You're not having that tension anymore. And then that is allowing your blood to pump easier. It's not making it force. It's not straining anything. So we're not producing extra waste material. And then it just allows everything to move so much smoother without as much effort. This is one of those advanced states that we get to throughout the course that we're going to be talking about. So how's everybody doing with the breath work? Is everybody following along? Is everybody able to still breathe nice and relaxed? Are we losing some people? Are we getting to that stress state? If you're still with me, I want you guys to stand up. I want you guys to do some nice relaxed breathing. Shake out the shoulders. Let me see if you can see me here. So stand up, shake out the arms, swing side to side, let the arms slap. Nice and gently. Good. Nice, deep, relaxed breathing. You guys still with me? Good. All right. So let's recap a little bit. Basically, we've talked about the foundational breathing into that lower dantian, that lower abdomen space. I'll pull up the image again for you. So we've been talking about going into that lower abdomen space down there, the lower dantian. We've been talking about the breathing circles. We've been talking about using the diaphragm for the actual breath. And then we even touched on some of the Tai Chi movements and how the benefits work. Good vibes. I love it. Love it, Susan. I'm glad you're here with us. All right, so I want you guys to remember to be kind to yourself through this process. This breath work is vital to moving through life and optimizing your workflow. Being able to tap into your parasympathetic system, being able to bring your body back to that, no matter how stressed you are, is going to be able to be used in everything in your life. Whether you're stressed out, whether you're overwhelmed, whether you're starting to feel that burnout, whether it's just trying to mentally prepare for the next task or a job interview or a big test coming up. Being able to just close the eyes, breathe deep into that diaphragm, and then get your body reset into that balanced, optimal state is going to do wonders for how you execute everything moving forward. So I want you guys to really focus on doing this breathing right now. So remember, the top of the head, the governing vessel, it's this point right here at the top of the picture, Baihui. This is governing vessel 20. Imagine like a string is pulling that point up. Tuck the chin ever so slightly. It's very gentle, almost like you're giving yourself a double chin, but not that much. Very, very light. Let the shoulders relax. Let the upper chest relax. And then breathe deep into that lower diaphragm. One extra advanced tip to add: press the tongue ever so gently against the roof of your mouth as you're breathing in and out your nose. This connects the circle and then activates that parasympathetic nervous system, that vagal nerve, and allows your body to really hone in on what you're trying to accomplish here. Breathe nice and deep, using that diaphragm to pull down. Good. Now, as everything starts to warm up, you can go ahead and open your eyes, but maintain this posture, maintain this breath work. Even if your tongue isn't touching the roof of your mouth, it's still fine. I can continue doing this nice, relaxed breathing while I'm talking to you guys. That's the point you want to get to. You want to make this to where you're not having to think about it anymore. The reason why this is so important is because a lot of us are struggling with our posture every day and not realizing that our posture isn't because the muscles aren't strong enough. It's not because we've trained them that way. It's because our mind is constantly in this fight or flight state. So if you're able to get this breath work down, if you're able to constantly get yourself back to that nice, relaxed state where you're breathing into that lower abdomen, the posture is going to be easy to hold because now you're in this sympathetic rest flow state that your body can optimally perform at. It's not in this, oh my gosh, I need to do blank, blank, blank. Because in that sympathetic stress state, your body thinks it needs to run or fight a lion, which pulls these shoulders in and forwards to protect the organs and the heart. That's the fighting state. That's all we're in. So that crunched, hunched over, everything becomes short and tight, tense. That's why. It's not because you're not strong enough to hold here. It's because your body is so focused on protecting itself that it goes back to this state. So if you can learn how to breathe in this nice, relaxed state, regardless of what's going on around you, regardless of the bills you need to pay, the tasks you need to do, the job you need to accomplish, then you'll realize your posture is just better off throughout the day. Oh, Damon, all right. The tongue position is super helpful. I can feel the breath sink lower. Yes, this is because of that parasympathetic link to the vagus nerve. The second you gently touch your tongue against the roof of the mouth, it actually causes your heart rate to lower, usually 5 to 10 beats, depending on how well trained you are and how well that breath is able to sink into the diaphragm. It's a little hack. You even say somebody is really upsetting you, a coworker, a spouse, somebody you're about to get into a fight. If you just take one deep breath and place that tongue against the roof of the mouth, you'll feel that mind racing, that fight or flight response instantly shut off. This is the power of this fire breathing. This is why I'm so passionate about teaching it, because this is where you get all those benefits from. So anytime throughout the day, when you touch that tongue against the roof of the mouth, it's automatically going to start training your body that that's the state you want to go into. And then when you can coordinate it with the tongue, the breath, and the mind, oh my gosh, you're going to feel that tension in your shoulders just wash away down the arms. It's pretty amazing after you start getting into it. When you start coordinating it with the Tai Chi movements, that's when the real fun happens, because then you start forcing the breath to the extremities. You start forcing the chi out to the fingertips, out to the toes. This is where you start feeling that chi moving. This is where you start learning how to coordinate the breath with the muscles. Basically, all of this starts coming hand in hand, because all we're doing right now is learning how to do the breath. The point of doing it with the form is now to stress you through activity. Think about lifting weights. You don't lift heavy weights because you want to stay the same. You lift it because you want to get stronger. So breathing just like this is like going to the gym and doing body weight squats. All right. It's simple. It's easy. There's not a lot of external factors stressing you out besides the mentality and the mindset. Breathing, when doing the isometric holds, is like doing it with bands. It adds a little bit of strain, but it's still easy. You're still doing high repetitions, low volume, or high volume. My apologies. But when you're doing it with the form, you're adding these complex asymmetrical movements, kind of like pat your head, rub your stomach techniques. These movements are going to extremely challenge your mind in the moments. So, doing something like this, it takes a second, but you can figure it out. That's the same thing with the Tai Chi form. As you start moving, one arm's going up, one arm's going down, while your feet are shifting from one to the other. This is where things start getting extremely complex. And then you're also starting to do the breathing, the relaxing, but the expanding. This is how you challenge your body in the extremes. This is like doing your PR on a squat rack. You're trying to accomplish the most challenging component that you can. So going back to this video, when you see the movements, see how everything's asymmetrical, everything's round. You have movements going one way while the other one's going the other. Everything's expanding, circle motions, it's round, you're shifting, you're moving. All of this is happening. Externally, it seems very simple. But internally, there's so many components happening. You're coiling, you're rooting, you're expanding, you're relaxing and contracting. It's a ton of fun, and it's an art. So when we go back to some of this, you can see some of the photos here, like the photo at the top. You see this coiling motion that they're talking about. In science, they talk about that as the kinetic chains. I get way more in depth with it in my course. But for now, I just want you guys to understand that there's so much more to this stuff than meets the eye. We talk about the breath works with the circling. You have the rooting where you're shifting the feet from one to the other to get that lymphatic drainage, that internal organ massage. And then you have the main 5 principles. So I want to leave this last couple minutes open to questions. I really appreciate you guys coming out today and listening. As I did mention, I do have a course that I am launching here on April 16th. It's going to be a course teaching you the entire Tai Chi 10 movement form. This has taken me 13 years to master. I have combined everything with Eastern and Western philosophy, science, best practices. I took something that was extremely complex, and I have gotten rid of all the fluff, all the mysticism, I mean, there's still some of that in there, but I mean, science can only prove so much. So I still have to leave some of it in there because it has such a strong benefit. But if you're interested, you can go to beastchiro.com/course, and then you'll see the Tai Chi Life Optimization course. It's a 3-week program. The first 2 weeks, I'm going to be taking you through how to learn the form. So you're going to be learning, it's a crash course. You're going to be learning every single one of these 10 movements from the bare basic beginning all the way up to the advanced complexities of the movements. I'm going to be taking you through how to do everything from the footwork to the upper body to the posture to the breathing. We're even going to talk about each self-defense application, so you'll be able to learn how to apply those. I'm going to teach you solo training as well as how you can do it with a partner. So if you have a significant other that you want to practice with, there's tons of stuff called marrying the center that allows you to take your skill to the next level, where you actually learn how to do these movements in connection with another person, which just, it's amazing. When you start learning yourself, that's one thing, but learning yourself against an opponent, that's a whole nother world. It's a blast. And the last week, I'm going to be teaching you how to optimize life around these foundational components. So I'm going to be teaching you meridian breathing. I'm going to be teaching you how to use this to enter the flow state at will. I'm going to be teaching you how to overcome stress, anxiety, burnout, how that is affecting your body internally, and then how you can use this 4-minute form to overcome that on a daily basis, to instantly recharge in the middle of the day, to warm up for an exercise, or to cool down after an intense workout so you can recover faster and optimally get back to what you're doing, whether it's athletics, fighting, sports, or just trying to be the best business person you can. This is going to be the program for you. I'm very excited, and I have this first course at $297, but I'm going to be giving you guys today for the next 24 hours a 50% off coupon to the course. So it'll bring it down to only $150 if you're interested in doing this 3-week-long course. It'll give you lifetime access to all the videos. By the end of this course, you are going to be able to not only do Tai Chi proficiently, but you're going to be able to do it without any guidance. I have a bunch of techniques and skills in there that accelerate your ability to learn the form. So by the end of this 3 weeks, you're going to be able to just, oh man, I'm feeling stressed. Let me stand up and do my 4-minute form real quick. Boom, reset. All right, I'm getting back to it. It's going to be better than coffee. It's going to be better than taking a midday nap. I'm very excited to help you guys out with this. And I'm so appreciative of everybody that showed up today and listened through this, that I wanted to give you guys an extra discount on top of the price. So if you want to get it either today or tomorrow, make sure you use this coupon before 11 a.m. Sunday, because that's when it'll end. I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions at all, now's the time to ask them. If not, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. I really appreciate you coming out. And I'm looking forward to taking you guys on this journey to optimize your life and finally unlock that ultimate potential inside of you that you've been trying to figure out how to. This is it. This is the way. And I'm looking forward to helping you along that. Thanks, guys. Susan, you are far too kind. She said, amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I'll be here. All right, Damon, super stoked. What is the form called? So this is called the 10 movement form. It comes from Yang style. There's 5 different main traditional styles of Tai Chi. Yang is one of the most widely taught because the stances are shorter. And what that means is it doesn't take as much effort to stand in the movement. So it's great for beginners to really focus on that Chi movement, Chi development, instead of being in these huge wide stances. So I'll bring up that video again for you. So when you look at it, see how they're not stepping out very far? In the traditional forms when this was done, because you would have to learn it with some type of experience. You'd be doing these much wider stances where your legs are pretty wide out. I don't have any examples of this here for you, but at least that gives you an idea. Here we go. I can show you this. So if you look at that upper photo here, when you're looking at this, this is the wider stances that they're talking about. Obviously, I don't want to torture you guys yet. That's more advanced. Right now, all we need to do is focus on getting that mind to understand how to properly breathe, getting those muscles, learning how to properly relax. This is going to optimize your movement, which inherently is going to optimize your daily performance. All right. Do you have any other questions? All right, so I guess we're at the end of this now. I just want to thank you guys again for all coming out. I know there's tons and tons of courses out there about teaching Tai Chi. There's tons and tons of courses out there about breathwork and meditation. I mean, I've tried countless of them myself because it's just a passion of mine. So the more knowledge I can get on it, the better. But one of the things they were all lacking that really bothered me was just clear, concise information. All of these courses always go off on so many tangents. There's so much extra knowledge that is unnecessary. And what I found in my journey through studying and learning all this knowledge is a lot of that is put there traditionally to weed out people that aren't willing to put the time and effort in to learn the style. So a lot of it's there to make it convoluted, complex, and confusing. So I've gone through, I've weeded out all of that extra nonsense that is unnecessary and made sure that if you need to learn this movement, what is the fastest way to get you to learn that? And there is tons and tons of science on skill acquisition for sports teams between football, soccer, basketball, because those athletes are competing at such a high level now that they have to figure out how to get people better faster. And so I've done all this research on that, taken it and applied it to this traditional style of martial arts. And oh my gosh, is it amazing. So I am so excited to teach you guys this form. I'm excited to see how fast we can get you guys from point A to point B. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you all out there. And remember, stay uncomfortable, my friends.